and anyone who's watching after the fact, hopefully you'll be able to follow along as well if you have Fusion 360 open, and you might need to just pause at certain times to catch up. But we'll have one student here following along today, Rod, and we'll see how he goes.
Year 13.
Going on year 4.
So if we have a look at our Fusion 360 window here, there's a whole lot going on, and I think the best way is to just introduce different parts as we start using them. So the first thing that we want to talk about, and it's covered here in the tutorial, is the data panel. So that's up in the top left here. If you open that, you'll see that I've already previously done this tutorial. But what the data panel is all your design work gets stored in things called projects, and it's all saved online. It's cloud-based, so you can easily share with others, and it can be shared between computers. So, sorry, what I just did there was, your window probably looks something like this. What I did was, I was in a project and I hit the home button here to go back to the data panel home. And so when you start, you'll have a number of projects. I think just something called a default project. But for this EVolocity tutorial, you might want to start a new one. So you hit new project and just type in the name there. I won't do that because I've already, well, actually I just created a new project. What I'm going to do is I'm going to load up my previously created EVolocity project. And that means all the parts and assemblies that we make will be, and drawings will be saved into this project.
Type in race car key.
Yeah. Not yet, that's going to be our part. So have you created a new project there, Rod?
Well, just
call it EVolocity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
EVolocity tutorial 1, right?
Oh yeah, I've done it now. I've called it new project.
No, well, that'll be good enough for us today. And even if you don't do that, it'll just start saving things in your default project.
Right.
But when you get into more complicated parts and you're working on different things at the same time, you want to make sure that you keep what you're working on in the right project. And within projects, you can also create folders. And that's all we really want to say about that now. So we'll exit the data panel using this little X over here. And if you ever want to reopen that, you just go over there. So what we're going to do is create a new design. Now, in some CAD programs, there's differentiates between what are called parts or components, and then what are called assemblies, which are made up of multiple components. But in Fusion 360, all new designs are handled in the same way. And so if you have just one part or you have multiple parts, which would normally be called an assembly, it's all just captured in a new design file. So we're going to hit new design, and you can see that at the top of the screen here, I now have 2 tabs. I think you'll see the same. When you first open Fusion 360, it gives you an untitled part to start with. And since we've just hit new design, it's made a new untitled part.
Where do you hit new design again?
So that's over on the left here.
Oh,
File, yeah. New design.
Oh, I see what's happening.
So,
I didn't close my project box. That was my problem.
Okay, yeah.
That's the sort of shit that happens to me. Sorry, I'm swearing.
That's a common experience for anyone learning these new softwares. So feel free to ask.
Yeah, okay. So new design. I sat there sweating for 5 minutes trying to find new design.
Yeah, file, new design. But
yep,
you can see there's a hotkey Control N. If you're going to be making a lot of new designs, then you may want to learn that one.
Yeah.
Okay, but at the end of the day, if you can make as many new designs as you want, but you want to start working on one and you want to probably save it and give it a reasonable name. So let's hit save straight away. And instead of just calling this an untitled part, you can call it whatever you want.
EVolocity Sharp 1 or something?
Yeah, or we call it car key fob.
Oh, yep. Car.
I'm going to call mine number 2 since I've already made one.
Do you have to do that underscore?
And you don't have to have underscores. It's just something I prefer, but you can do, I think you can use spaces in this program. Let's see. Some programs don't like using spaces in file names. Yeah, you can name it whatever you want.
Yep.
Uppercase, lowercase, spaces, hyphens, whatever. So when we're building 3D geometry, there are a lot of ways to start building things, but pretty much everything starts with a 2-dimensional sketch. And then from there, we take it into an extrude, or which is just drawing that sketch out in a straight line, or a revolve, where we take that sketched profile and we revolve it around an axis. And you'll notice that there are a few different tools that are populated here in the Create window, but if you click the little drop down, there's a whole lot more possibilities. So Extrude and Revolve are the first two that are shown. There's something called Sweep, which is taking it your profile along another sketched path, or Loft, which is taking 2 different profiles and filling in the 3D space between. And then there's some pre-made shapes here, like a box or a cylinder or a sphere. But to start with, you can do a lot of things with just the Extrude and the Revolve. And just something that might trip up other users is that the icons that are shown up here change depending on how your screen is arranged. So if, in this example, it didn't actually change, but sometimes more or less will pop up here, and you have to hit create to find the full list. But like I said, most things start with a 2-dimensional sketch, and as such, that's the very first icon we've got here in our user interface. So what we're going to do is create a sketch.
That box doesn't come up on mine when I...
Which box is that, sorry? Oh, the little preview?
Yeah, the create sketch doesn't come up on mine.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. When you do hover over things, at least on my computer, you get a little blurb and a picture of what that tool can do.
Takes a few seconds to come up.
Yeah, you just have to hover for a few seconds. And that can actually be really helpful in understanding what different tools do without going into the help menu.
Good one.
But actually, just before we create a sketch, I'll talk a little bit about the environment that we're going to be sketching in. So every part that you start has something called an origin, which is some base geometry. So there's a origin point, which is right at the center there. There's an x-axis, a y-axis, and a z-axis. And then there are planes, which are either the xy, xz, or yz planes. And so that geometry is our base reference for our part. And from there, we can go and make additional planes and axes, and that is up here in the construct panel. So there's different ways of making planes and axes and points. But for the example today, we're just going to use the base references. If you feel the need for making more planes and axes, then that's where you find them over there.
I haven't got that grid on mine, Steve.
The grid that we see here, which is currently the XZ plane,
in the origin,
I think that is potentially down here in the view settings.
Yeah.
So if you click on grid settings, you can change a few things there. I'm not sure how to actually turn it on or off. You may have to do a bit of digging on the grid.
Yep.
Oh, there we are, layout grid. If you untick that, but I find it very helpful to actually have that grid showing.
It's not showing, and I had that ticked and then unticked. And I get a line when it.
And nothing happens?
Yeah.
Oh.
Look, I'll have a play. It's all
right. So just go through this again. You go down the bottom.
Down the bottom here. Yep.
Yeah, unfortunately, your screen's right bang in the middle of my screen, so I can't really use
you can't access those
very well. Like I'm saying, if you could work on the right, it would be really good. But You're actually twice the size of me too.
If I move this over here, does that help? But
yeah, that's good. But all your icons and everything are twice the size of mine.
Oh well. Later, when people are watching this, they'll hopefully be able to scale the video down to a good size. But I'm not sure how we help you with Zoom right now.
Yeah.
Yep. So another way, if you don't like seeing the grid, you can just look at the reference geometry by clicking on this little eye over here. So each feature that you have in your model, so over here, this is called the model browser, and all the features that we build into the model will show up down here, and all of them will have a little eye next to it, which means visibility.
Yeah.
And so you can turn those on and off depending on what you want to see or not.
Yeah.
But for now, I'm going to leave the grid on because I think it is helpful, and we'll let our origins be visible as well for now, but we can turn them off if we want to. So that was a bit of an introduction to the environment we're starting with. So let's now create a sketch. And in the tutorial, it's saying to create a sketch on the XY plane. So to do that, we hit Create Sketch over here. And then there are two ways to select planes. So we can come and click it in the view window, or we can click it in our model browser, and that will do the same thing. So just go to XY. Sometimes the model browser is safer because
it's completely hopeless for me, this, because I am seeing either your XY or my XY, but I try as I might, I can't see both at the same time.
Okay, well, you can just ignore mine for now, I guess, and select your one.
Yeah, the trouble is when
sketch.
you were explaining, I couldn't see your mouse.
Okay. So
just go through it again.
So we hit Create Sketch, which is up here.
Yep, done that.
And then we either select the XY on the view plane, or we hit XY in the model browser, which is on the left. So I'm going to do the one in the model browser.
I'm sorry. Where are you actually clicking to make this happen? Oh, XY.
Yeah,
I
XY.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is pure hell for me, not being able to see you and mine at the same time. You can't move your whole box to the right. You can't, can you?
I could go a bit further, but then we won't be able to see much, I guess. Whoops.
Ooh.
Let's just go there. Okay.
No, I have to flick my whole window left to see what you're doing. You know where it says under browser there, all those X, Y, Z.
Yep.
That gets covered when I see my X, Y, Z.
Okay. Well, you shouldn't have to look there on my screen anymore in the future. It's.
Oh, right. Okay.
This is one of the few steps.
So now I've got it now where I've put my box all the way to the right.
Yep.
Can you just click on Origin again and show me what you clicked?
So I clicked on the XY plane here.
Yep, gotcha. Right.
That's where we want to start our sketch. So it's going to essentially make that plane come up flat with the screen, and then we're going to start sketching on it on the screen.
I'm not getting that grey box like you, but
which box is that? Oh, this one.
Yeah.
Maybe.
You've got a blue box there now. Oh shit! This is brilliant. What I've just done now. I accidentally made you a quarter of the size of the screen, and it's awesome.
Oh, great. Okay.
Now I'm away.
Let's keep going. All right. So the first thing we want to sketch is a circle. Now, to find all the different things you can sketch, you want to look up here on the Create menu. And again, there are a lot more options if you click on the word Create, which has a little triangle indicating more options.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of predefined geometries there and complicated curves and splines and things. But in this tutorial, it's quite simple. We're just going to be doing circles and lines. So first of all, we're going to create a center diameter circle. So we're going to click on that. And a hotkey for this would be C on the keyboard, if you don't want to click. And now we're going to left click once on the origin, which is our point over here.
Where would you mouse that center if you wanted to do it?
So you click up here on center diameter circle, left click once, and then to place it, we want to put it on the origin, and you see the little blue box snapping around the origin. So I've clicked, and now before you click again, we can set the diameter of the circle before we click again. So if we type 16 on the keyboard and then press enter, that'll automatically dimension the circle for us.
Perfect.
And the circle is showing up as black, which means that the geometry is fully constrained or fully defined. That means if we click it, we can't drag it around because the center is locked to the origin and the size of the circle is 16 millimeter diameter. For example, if I created a circle over here and I didn't constrain it, it's blue, which means I can change the size and I can drag it around. But the circle that we created should be black like that. So the next step in the tutorial is create another circle over to the right and give it a diameter of 14, and just place this one somewhere above the horizontal red line and type 14 to add the diameter.
And it's blue.
All right, it's blue because it can move in location even though the size is fixed.
How do you drag it? You just click.
You just left click and hold.
No, that didn't work.
You may have to click on
the actual circle. Oh yeah.
Click on either the circle or the center.
Oh, gotcha. I was clicking in between the center and the circle.
Oh, okay, and you can move dimensions as well if you want to make your drawing tidy from the beginning.
Oh yeah.
So what we want to do with these two wheels of our car essentially is put them on the same horizontal line.
Yep.
And to do that, we use a constraint called. Sorry, I should introduce the idea of constraints. So up here in our Fusion 360 menu called constraints, we have different ways that we can relate our geometry and our sketch to each other. So one way is dimensions, which gives you sizes, and the tool for adding dimensions is here. The other way is constraints, which is about relating things to each other. So we want these two circles to be, the center of these two circles to be horizontal to each other. So that's the first constraint here. It says horizontal / vertical. And if we click the center, left click the center of one circle and then left click the other, it'll add a constraint as so. And it's indicated by this little icon here.
Yeah, where were the two clicks again?
So first on the center of one circle, then on the center of the other circle.
Yep.
Now I'll just show you something quickly. So I'm going to select that constraint and delete it. If the circle was up here and we did the same thing, it would add a vertical constraint. So what the software does is it figures out whether your circles are closer to being horizontal to each other, like over here,
X or Y,
or closer to being vertical, and then it just picks either horizontal or vertical. So we want it to be horizontal, that's done there. Now we want to add a dimension for how far apart these circles are. So you'll notice that once you've got your horizontal constraint, you can't drag it up and down. You can only drag the second circle along one axis. And we can lock that down by adding a dimension. So we're going to click on the sketch dimension tool, left click once, and now we click on the center of one circle, center of the other circle, and then from there you drag out to anywhere to place the dimension, and then left click again. And the size we want is 50 millimeters. So type in 50, enter, and now both of our circles are fully constrained. Can't drag them anywhere because we have a horizontal constraint and a 50 millimeter spacing.
Got it.
All right, so now let's start drawing some lines, straight lines to start with, and then some curved lines. So the hotkey for this is L, or in your Fusion 360 browser ribbon, you've got line up here. So what we want to do is create a line as shown, where we place the start of the line on the left of the back wheel, and then the end of the line on the right, and we make it intercept both circles, but below the origin. So create a line, zoom out a little bit, start it over here, and you can see as we're dragging it along, if you have it roughly horizontal, then Fusion 360 will assume you want it to be horizontal, and it'll add a little blue constraint, which is going to make this line horizontal. Yeah. And in this case, we do want that. Sometimes you won't want that, so you're going to start with your line off at an angle, perhaps, and then position it exactly how you want. But we want it to be horizontal, so let's just place it anywhere along here with another click. And now press escape, because we just want the one line. It'll automatically let us create another line, then another line, and then another line if we keep going in this tool. So now we're going to create a dimension to set the height of this line. And we're going to click on the line itself first, and then on the origin. So I should mention that to zoom in and out, you use the scroll wheel on your mouse.
Oh,
so
yeah.
we're going to create the second point of our dimension on that there, and drag it out to the back, and make that 2 millimeters.
Oh,
and
yeah.
enter.
Down that side too, yeah. Oh, shit. What?
All good there, Rod?
Yeah, I've just learnt that you've got to actually click. Once you click the line, then you've got to click again when you know what side it's on.
Yes, to place the dimension, yeah.
Yep, so far I'm looking like you. I'll take a screenshot at some point.
Cool. Now maybe...
Save.
Unfortunately, you can't save when you're in the middle. Oh, actually, can you?
I can print screen though, can't I?
We can save. I thought that you couldn't save while you were sketching, but that's helpful. So you can hit save and just capture your work so far.
Or
up here.
Oh yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. All right, so now we're going to make 3 lines for a bit of a tail rear spoiler of our car. So you notice the little symbols in the tutorial show parallel constraints. This is slightly different to horizontal and vertical. And what it's doing is it's matching the slope of the line to an already existing line. So
that like offset in AutoCAD.
Yeah, I guess so. Let's see how that plays out. So our first line, we want it to be coincident with this with the rear point of the line we just drew. So hover over there until you've got the blue box, and then left click. And
the
now
line goes blue, but
if we didn't create the constraint perfectly the first time, you can go and add it later, but it's good.
Just back up the bus.
Okay.
When I click on the line, I don't get a blue box like you do.
So if you click the line tool over here.
Ah, line tool. Yep, gotcha.
And now we want to start our line here with our previous line. And just drag it out at roughly the right size and angle. And then this time, instead of pressing escape or hitting this tick, we're going to keep going. So we're going to create another line. And you'll see that now there's a little parallel symbol, which is making it parallel to the first line that we drew. You have to zoom out a bit to see that. So let's just add that, roughly that big there. And now we'll make another line coming down, and this one's going to be parallel to the line we just drew, the first segment of this. There you go. And now this time we're going to hit escape, because we've got the 3 lines that we want. And you should see 3 parallel symbols. All right, all good?
No. I've got 2 lines and a curve. How did I manage that?
Okay, so that was going to be the next step, but
so I've hit the
let's
back
say, for
button.
instance,
so I've still got your up to the left and across horizontal line, but I haven't got the down.
Okay, so you drew a curve over here instead.
Yeah.
So to undo that, you can
hit the back button.
Hit the undo
Yep.
line,
Yep.
or you can just select lines and delete them,
Yep.
like so. And to create a new line, you'll have to come in to the tool again,
Yeah.
click on there, and it looks like it's not automatically selecting parallel in this case. So,
Oh, mine is.
okay, yours is. I think that's because maybe I've got snap to grid selected. So I'm going to turn snap to grid off.
Yeah, that's a bugger in AutoCAD too. Yeah.
Because I don't necessarily care about the grid geometry. No, it's still not working. Oh well. I'll create a line in any orientation, and then I'll add my parallel constraint by clicking over here.
Yeah.
Parallel, and then click on one line and the other line.
Yeah.
Like so, and escape to cancel. So now we're going to do what you did unintentionally, which is create a. Actually, my scale looks a bit wrong here, so I'm going to drag my lines around a bit. So it looks a bit more like the car in the example. So what you did accidentally was what's shown in the tool here is create a straight line and then go straight into a circular arc.
Right.
And the way you do that is by clicking and holding. So we're going to create a straight line like we did before from this point. So click once, and now before you click again, this time.
Oh, you have to go on the line tool first though, do you?
Yep, so line tool again. Now this time, instead of just clicking once again, we're going to click and hold. And what that does is creates a circular arc out from our straight line and tangent to our straight line. And I'm going to drag that all the way down to the front of the car there and let go so that it snaps on.
Yep.
And you can see this little constraint here has been added, which means that the straight line and the circular arc are tangent to each other.
Right.
Now we have all the lines that we need.
My car looks nothing like yours, but it's
okay.
similar in form.
If it's got the right lines, we'll make it the right shape soon. So we can save again. So what we want to do now is delete some of the lines. Oh, no, actually, I'm going to create a little cockpit for our car. So we're going to create a vertical line. If you see in the tutorial here, we want to make it come and meet this horizontal line and start about here and come straight down to it. So you do that, select the line tool, pick a position out in space and come down and snap to our horizontal line. And we should have now a perpendicular constraint here.
Yep. Oh, I've got a little triangle in the left and right.
Interesting.
You've got a little hammer in yours. And
I wonder what that triangle is. Oh, there's also this symbol here, which means coincident. That means the point at the end of this line is coincident with this line.
yeah, I've got the...
well, we'll see how we go in the next few steps.
It might be just... Have I done it at an angle? Is that what that triangle means?
Perhaps, but if your line looks vertical, then then Fusion 360 should have automatically made that perpendicular constraint.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see. So next step is we're going to create a circular arc from the top here down to our corner of these two lines.
Yeah.
So to do that, we're going to hit create to find more options for creating things. And what we want to make is an arc.
Yeah.
And now there are three main ways to make an arc. Tangent arc is what we just did previously, where you take an existing line and you create an arc which is tangent to it.
Yeah.
Center point arc is you choose a center and then you choose two more points at a certain diameter to create your arc. But we want 3-point arc. So in this example, you choose the starting point and the end point of your arc, and then drag it to set the diameter.
Right.
So if you click on 3-point arc,
yeah,
and you click once on this little intersection of those two lines.
Yep.
Then once on the top of the line we created previously. And now you can drag this out until it looks roughly like that, and click. And press escape.
Yep. Yep.
Alrighty. And now what we want to do is get rid of some of the lines that we don't need. So we use the modify tools, and you can see there's quite a few of them. What we want is trim, which basically just cuts away the lines between two other pieces of geometry.
You're lucky I've done AutoCAD.
Yeah. So trim here, Fusion 360 gives you a nice demo of what you're going to be trimming. So whatever's highlighted red will disappear.
Yeah.
What we want to do is remove this segment of the line. So
click,
hover over that and click, and it disappears.
Yep, that worked.
Great, and we'll do the same on the wheels. So we don't need that line in the middle of that wheel. And same with the
Can you make your image a bit smaller, please?
Sorry?
Can you make your image a bit smaller?
A bit smaller, there.
Oh, yeah.
So I just removed the segment in the rear wheel, and now we'll remove the segment in the front wheel.
Oh, I see what you're removing. Yeah.
And when that happens, a bunch of different constraints are made to keep this line.
Constraints and all dimensions were removed during operation.
Oh, you got a little warning memo?
Yeah.
Okay, let's hope that's not serious, but basically what's happened is when you delete lines like this, then it still needs to keep this one and this one collinear.
Just hit the back button. So what do? You go on the line. Oh, no, you got to hit.
So you hit trim first, and then you click on the lines you want to, segments of lines you want to get rid of.
Oh, modify, trim.
So that's the next steps of the tutorial. If you want detailed instructions for that, find it there.
Let me just trim those bits out on the wheels again. I'm just not getting this.
Yep. Have you got that? So
you go modify, trim.
Trim, and then hover over the segment that mine already gone, but used to be here and here.
Oh, I think one's already gone. That's what my problem is.
Yeah, so the black line that I can still see there is actually coming from this dimension.
Ah,
the two. So for some reason it put the leader line of that dimension all the way through the part, which is a bit misleading.
So if I move that dimension, it'll probably come right, will it?
Yeah.
Oh.
So thick lines are geometry and thin lines are
now I've lost the bottom of my wheels. Better go back.
Good thing you've got your undo button.
Yeah. How did you move that dimension?
You just click on the dimension and the numerical part of it. Or actually the arrows too. And then you just drag your mouse around.
Oh, yeah.
So left mouse button,
I
click and hold.
Just grab something different. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm really struggling with this. Modify, trim. I really just cannot get rid of those lines, eh?
Okay.
It's almost like that dimension. Can I delete that dimension?
Yeah. Yep, no problem doing that. You can always re-add it later. So I just deleted mine.
Tell you what's a bloody good thing is, yeah, now we're right. Yep.
Okay. So you got rid of your lines from up here and the wheels?
Yep.
Okay.
I've got a line sticking out the back I should trim as well, actually.
Okay, yep. Go ahead and do that.
Modify it.
And after that, we're going to be looking at, we'll probably have to wrap up shortly, but I think we've got the basic geometry of the part here. We just need to go and add dimensions.
Right.
So we'll add a few dimensions, and then what I'll do is we'll just go and extrude the part and maybe do more at another later date.
How come your car ended up black? Mine's blue.
It's only black when I hover my mouse over it. So yeah, it should be blue.
All right.
Most of the geometry is blue, which means we can drag it and change its shape.
All right, gotcha. Yeah.
So what we're going to do is just add a few dimensions and then extrude it as is. So let's hit sketch dimension and make an angle here at the back edge. So you click on both of those lines and then where you want to place the dimension. And we're going to type in 105. So that was sketch dimension.
You're going a bit fast for me here. I'm sorry, but that's
all
right.
So sketch dimension up here.
Sketch. Where's dimension?
Sorry, it's this one here.
I have actually already clicked it.
Okay, yep. And now you want your...
Is it modified? No, I see.
Yeah, it's in the create window.
When you said sketch dimension, I'm looking for the word sketch and I don't see it. But I see under the word sheet metal this dimension there.
Yeah, that's a bit misleading. So actually all the tools that we see up here are the sketch tools. And at the moment, solid, surface, sheet metal, and tools are inactive.
Oh, right.
What we're doing is sketching. Yeah. So.
So that blue sketch means that all those symbols are to do with sketching, not tool, not sheet metal.
So the word sketch that I've been using is a bit redundant because
I've been clicking on sketch when you say sketch.
Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah. So dimension.
Dimension. Yeah.
And it's coming up with two little arrows between two parallel lines, but that's not an angle, and you wanted an angle.
It'll still create an angle if you choose two lines which are at an angle to each other.
Oh, I see. You've actually got to click on them.
It'll only create point-to-point or line-to-line dimension if the lines are parallel. And of course, point-to-line, it'll always just pick the shortest orientation. Or it depends on which way you drag.
No, I'm not getting an angle. I'm really sorry about this. I struggle with this until I know it. Right, so I click on dimension, and I've got two little parallel lines with an arrow between them. How do I make that an angle?
So you come down to your bottom line here.
Yeah.
Click once.
Yeah.
And then over to your other line that you want to angle to.
Yeah.
Click again.
Yeah.
And then drag over this way or whichever way you want to define the angle.
Yep, gotcha.
And then click a third time.
And what angle is supposed
Type in 105.
105.
And there we go.
Yeah, I don't know why that was happening like that, but
it's all right. So
got it.
Sometimes things don't work well until you've really had a lot of practice at it.
It's a bit hard to keep up. That's all. When I don't get what you're saying, that's all.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so we're going to do the same.
Escape, so you're out of dimension. Yeah.
Well, you don't actually. In this case, we're going to keep making a few dimensions. So.
Right. Yeah.
You can go back to the dimension tool, or if you've never left it, then you should still see the little arrows. So we're going to start with the bottom line again.
Yeah.
And this time we're going to come up and click the top of the tail, and then drag over to the left.
Oh, bugger! My tail's too short. I can't get it.
Too short?
My tail is to the left. My tail, see that 105 on yours?
Yeah.
And the point, the center point of that radius, if you want. My tail is behind that. So I'm stuffed.
You can always, if you, I'll delete that dimension I just made. If you've got some kind of geometry like this, you can always drag it to.
Okay.
To change it to basically the right shape.
Right.
So even if it was down here looking something weird, you can always just drag things around.
I'm really struggling again. Dimensioning is not my game. So you click on dimension.
Yeah.
You click on that bottom line coming out from the back wheel.
And now you can either click on the line or maybe even the rear point. It'll do the same thing, but that'll...
the line,
sorry.
yeah.
I made a mistake there.
And it's dimensioning that line, 11.812.
So we want to, if you've clicked on both lines, then it should look something like what I've got. 30 millimeters in between the top and the bottom.
Oh, got it now. When I go out the back, I can do it.
Right.
30.
Cool.
Done.
And now we'll make a nice and easy dimension, which is just the length of this top line.
Yeah.
So in that case, you just have to do one click on the line.
Yeah.
And then drag it up and place your dimension.
All right. Yeah.
And that one wants to be 23.
Got it. Yeah.
Cool. And there's a whole bunch more dimensions there you can add from the tutorial. But I think in the interest of time, I'm just going to add one more interest. So I guess something we haven't covered yet is radiuses of curves. So if we come to the front of the car and you click on your radius, and then click again to place, and we want that to be 35. Now in this case, I'm going to have to drag it out to the front.
My cab looks ridiculous. I don't know why.
Yes, so does mine. I think that's it's a bit of an unusual way that it's been defined, but once you've got all the dimensions on, it should look all right.
Yeah.
So I guess we can tidy up the cab. So the radius on there should be 25.
Yeah.
And the way that it's positioned is, actually there's a whole bunch of dimensions that lead up to that. There's the 15 at the bottom here and 50. I think what we're going to have to do is I'll let you finish dimensioning that from the tutorial page.
Right.
And for today, we'll just finish the sketch and I'll show you how to get back into editing it. So finish sketch is over here on the right. When you've finally finished your geometry and you're happy with everything, you can hit finish sketch.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And that will now appear down in your browser as a sketch 1. And
excuse my ignorance, in my browser. My browser is Chrome, isn't it?
So we've got your own Fusion 360 browser now, which is over on the left-hand side.
Oh, right, yeah.
And it's got your origin, and now it's got one sketch.
Yeah.
And the good thing about
EVolocity version 3, yeah.
Good thing about this is you can rename all your sketches.
Right.
So you might call this like main layout sketch or something. In this example, you probably don't need to name sketches, but when you have very complicated models, it can help you quickly find different geometry for editing. But in any case, what we want to do is extrude something. So as soon as you've got a sketch, you can extrude things, as long as the sketch involves some closed profiles.
Yeah.
So to extrude, we click on extrude. Now you notice we're not in the sketch tab anymore. We're in solid.
Oh, okay.
And that's for creating solid geometry. There's also surface, which creates 2D surfaces, and sheet metal if you want to create something that's designed to be made out of sheet metal.
Yeah. So I've clicked
so we're in solid. Extrude.
Now.
Yep.
Right.
Now you should see this little window which is extrude.
Yep, got that.
And there are a few different things you need for extrude. First, you need a profile, which is the sketch geometry that you want to extrude. So we can select our car body.
Yeah. Just put your mouse in the middle. Yeah.
Put the mouse in the middle and it'll go colored, and then you click on it.
Yeah.
You can also select multiple things at the same time. So let's say we want to do the wheels as well. You can click on each of the wheels. Now it says we've got 3 profiles selected. And where do you want the extrude to start from? Well, we want to start from the profile plane, which is our XY plane that we were sketching on. And the direction is which way do we want to add material?
Oh, so you've got it on profile plane. That's all you do.
Yeah, so you don't need to change that. Also, direction, you can change it to be just going in one direction, or 2 directions differently, or 2 directions the same thickness. So we're happy with one-sided. And then the extent. So in this case, we don't actually have any other objects to go up to, but you could extrude up to another object that was in your model. But we want to hit distance because we want to go up by a certain distance. And I can't remember exactly what it was, but what does it say here? 3 millimeters. So we want to type in 3 millimeters. And if you're making plastic parts that are going to be injection molded, or you want to put some kind of fancy taper on your design, then you can add a taper angle. But we don't want to do that. So that's basically how the slopes the slope on the side of your part will be. So we want it to be 0. And now the operation, since this is the first thing we're doing, then I think the only option we can choose is a new solid body. But once you've got other solids, you can either join your next extrude to the same solid, or you can cut out material rather than adding material. You can use the extrude to cut. Or you can intersect and just keep the overlap. But yeah, we want new body. If we hit OK, then it'll create some solid material in the shape of our sketch.
How are you rotating that?
Oh, sorry. To rotate to see 3D, you hold down Shift and then hold down the middle mouse button and then drag around. And it'll probably take a little bit of getting used to. Each CAD software does this in slightly different ways.
Used a lot of 3D viewers, you know, and it's very similar, isn't it? God, it's like flying with a joystick that's backwards.
Yeah. So just before we finish today, I guess I'll mention a few other things. So what we've done now is that we've used our sketch to create some solid, and the program has automatically hidden the sketch that we used. But we may want to use that again. For instance, we may want to use the wheel profiles. So if you may need to click on this little visibility icon, the eye, whether you want to see your sketch or not. So for instance, if we want to extrude again and we want the profile that we want is the...
Show me where that eye was again.
So that's just down here.
Oh God, I've got to remove my screen. Now, where are you?
Oh, sorry. Move it over here for you. This eye in the browser next to your sketch.
Oh, right, gotcha.
So if that's turned off, then I won't be able to see the wheels anymore. But if it's turned on, then I'm making another extrude now. I can select the wheel again. And let's say I want my wheel to stick out a bit. So I'm going to extrude it up.
I'm not getting my wheels up. So what am I hitting?
Whoops. By default, it did a cut.
Hang on, I'll go to the right of my screen. Now I can see both those bloody browser things. I can't see the browser when I'm working on mine.
Oh, okay.
That's the problem. So what did you do? You went on sketches and you click on the eye, do you? Or the arrow?
Yeah, so that's to hide or to show different features.
You've got to click on the little arrow on the left first.
Oh, sorry, was that not? Yeah, by default that might have been hidden.
I was just clicking on sketches a million times. I didn't realize that arrow and then sketch. Now,
So you got to expand the little folder.
Is that a expand button? Is that what?
And you'll notice you've got another folder called bodies. And so the thing that we just extruded is called body 1. It's if you make more solids, then you'll get body 2, body 3.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But I was just showing you a little thing there about how sketches get hidden by default, but you may want to use them again in the future.
Yeah.
But I think I'm going to have to leave it there for today, and we'll come back, I guess, to pick up where we left off. And I just noticed that we weren't supposed to extrude the wheels, so I'll show you one more thing, which is how to access your history and change things. So down the very bottom of the screen here, can you see that? There's a little, there's these icons here for 2 extrudes in it. So I've done a second extrude quickly there, but you'll probably have 1 extrude and 1 sketch.
Right.
And if you drag the little bar backwards and forwards, you can see what you've done over the history of your model. It's very helpful. And if you want to change anything, you right click on the feature. 90%
of what I'm fighting is I'm only seeing quarter of my drawing all the time.
Oh yeah, that must be tough. Yeah, so.
Oh, I see. Is this all these big gang of arrows down the bottom here?
Yeah.
Exactly where, yeah.
So if we right click and hit edit feature, then it'll come back to what we were doing when we were deciding how to extrude.
All right, yep.
And for instance, where it says 3 profiles, we were actually supposed to do just the 1, so we can cancel that and just select the car body, and it'll change that for us.
Oh, so that's where we click again, it goes off. You know, it's always those critical, simple things I miss. One selected and then go, okay, yep. I've got no idea if this looks like yours now because I can't even see yours. Oh, yeah.
So this,
I still can't get my sketch up. I've been trying every time I get a spare microsecond.
to relook at your old sketch.
I had the eye off on sketch. That's all it
Okay.
was. Yeah.
And now if you want to, if you need to, like you'll probably want to go back and change your dimensions. So to do that, you can either access your sketch here in the browser,
Yeah.
or you can come down. It's the same thing basically down here in the timeline,
Yeah.
and you can right click on there, hit edit sketch, or you can right click up here, edit sketch, and if you click, it will take you back to doing your dimensions.
Right. Yeah.
All right, so better leave it at there for today. Are you still with us, Les?
Yeah,
Oh,
no problem. Fine.
Right.
do sun
I
here
do
as
sun.
well.
Cool.
All
Made
right,
some pretty
that's
good
good.
progress,
Thanks
thanks.
very much, Stephen. That was my first ever 3D drawing.
No, congrats, man.
Rod, the that PDF of Eva's is first class in taking you through it. So it's actually be quite good to go back and review the steps, and just at at a more leisurely pace.
Yeah,
I might actually
a lot of detail
set
there.
up my TVs, my 55-inch TV screen as a screen next time. I've got to say that you're bloody good, but the biggest problem is having two screens up at the same time, because you are taking up, like, if I put my glasses here, you are taking up, that's the width of your screen on my screen,
Okay, yeah,
to the edges of my glasses.
and couldn't shrink that.
So, yeah, effectively, I've only been working with about a third of my job, and I've been pushing it to the right, pushing it to the left, pushing it down, pushing it up. So if there's a way that you can make, if you can be less greedy with the screen space.
I think that's probably Zoom's problem and not mine. But
yeah.
I think it's a two-edged sword though, Rod, because if Stephen makes it smaller, then it's very hard to see some of the stuff on the screen then.
yeah,
It may even be, I think it's from learning AutoCAD. I did 19 3-hour courses at Polytech as an adult to learn AutoCAD. And we all got a computer each, and the tutor was wandering around, and that's how we learned. But so you had a full screen the whole time.
yeah.
But I don't know. That's otherwise, it's just awesome what you're showing us, eh?
If you got two screens, it makes it one hell of a lot easier. Yeah. So,
Oh, right. Yeah, that might be what I need to do.
Is that what high schools usually have now, Les? I know that we definitely do in university. Like every computer comes with two screens.
no,
No?
they don't. They're usually single screen.
Okay, might be another few years until they get
Yeah.
dual screens as default there.
Yeah.
Or maybe never, because I guess you don't really need it unless you're running multiple
Are there any
applications.
settings on screen share that you can do?
From here on Zoom,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if there's any at my end.